to Kaisa, because showing Kaisa generally is like, hey, we're going to dive.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's typically the best response, in my opinion, just because of what Kaisa wants to do. And also, like, for example, earlier today, we saw that NRG draft where they were kind of counting on 100 Thieves not doing anything and 5v5ing them.
They've defeated us by doing something.
And that did not work against the Kaisa, actually, so.
Well, unfortunately, when you bet on your opponents to do nothing and lose, sometimes they might just do something and win.
That sucks.
Can I just point out, so first of all, Kindred lost for River.
I love that sign.
That is a sick sign. River has the weirdest Kindred I've ever seen, just because, well, he likes to interact with his lane so much, right? So I remember, I feel like the last time I saw him play this, he was still at 2 stacks, like 20 minutes into the game. It wasn't that bad, but like he was still just really focused on interacting with his lanes as opposed to the power farming that we see from someone like Blabber.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do think you can take different approaches, right? You can kind of play that carnivore style. I think people sometimes underestimate how powerful this champion can be even in the early stages, especially in skirmishes. Yes, your gank setup is not great, right? You walk in, you hop forward, and you slow them. But like, if you can create 2v2s, if you can create a lot of action, Kindred can be really strong in those scenarios.
Plus, technically, you can get marks from the champions, too. It doesn't just have to be from chickens and crabs and stuff, but Yone and Silas banned out by Dignitas. They're trying to protect that Azir in the mid lane a little bit. The Xayah banned out by Golden Guardians, recognizing exactly what you guys were talking about. If we want to play Kaisa, we don't want to deal with Xayah.
Could they?
Yeah, and it is kind of surprising. Obviously, they did want to prioritize the Sedge for Santorin and the Azir for Jensen over here, but it is kind of surprising to see that Kaisa, or that Xayah rather, didn't fall through or have them get picked up as a third pick from Dig.
Yeah, we've seen a couple teams. We've had this happen a couple times today. We had it earlier today. You know, the Xayah got banned out in second round, and they went towards an Aphelios. You know, that was an answer. So now Xayah and Aphelios both getting banned out here. It's going to be Varus as the answer for Tomo. But that does mean you are relatively low mobility. If they draft some pretty heavy engage alongside, you know, up on the top and mid lane, it could be pretty powerful. There's also potential, obviously, to move that Kaisa towards mid for Gori, but I don't believe he's played it yet. Yeah, no games on it for him, so I'm expecting you to go to Stixxay.
I love the fact that Dignitas is giving Rich 5th pick, counter pick on red side, because I want to see him play something specifically that's Rich-like. We've got the Jax locked in for Licorice on Golden Guardians. What's the last pick going to be here? What will we take into the mid lane to fight against the Azir? Or does Kaisa go into the mid lane and we bring something else to the bot side?
This would actually be really cool if they go for it. The ability to just try to push and move, you know, with the Kindred. One of the things that's actually so valuable when you are playing Kindred is having a mid laner that can push and can assist you as you're invading for marks, right? Because largely, yeah, you can get them from champions, but largely you're trying to attack these camps. So if they can play through mid, get Gori unlocked, be able to utilize that to invade enemy jungle, you know, assist Licorice in side lanes, I think it's a pick that really does kind of fit the theme of the comp.
And on the other side, we have the Ksante for Rich, of course. You know, at the beginning of the split, I've talked about Rich a lot as a player, how he ended up becoming a super creative player, but when he first started playing League of Legends was very stuck on 1 or 2 picks, one of them being Aatrox. I think people didn't really believe that he could play anything but the Ksante, and we have seen him show up on other things, but it's the old standby for him.
And a reminder to everybody out there, with Draft all wrapped up, from now until August 6th, you can use your MasterCard to make a purchase in the in-client store. Save your card on file to be entered for a chance to win a trip to LOL Worlds 2023 or a set of 8 Player of the Week statues. So hit that up if you're interested in them fabulous prizes. But what I'm interested in...
He will punt some of his camps to go visit his lanes.
Rich has been on a mission to get Ksante nerfed this split. Both playing as it and playing against it. When he picked Alawi into it and got solo killed like 3 times under tower.
3 times under tower, and then it wasn't just final score in that game like 0 and 8 or something.
Yeah.
All part of his master plan. Ksante sure to get nerfed.
It was a rough time.
Not the greatest, but now that he's back on it, we know he has the skills to pilot this one into a highlight reel. So I'm hoping we get to see some of that.
It's going to be interesting. Tomo going Hail of Blades, which generally signifies that you are going to be going that AP variant. Yes, they have a little bit of physical damage from Rich, but it's going to kind of mean you're like almost fully AP You know, very magic damage heavy here. Merc Tread's going to be really, I think, high in demand on the Golden Guardian side. And if you can itemize a little bit towards MR, it's going to be helpful.
Right, but the big thing is no main meatball on the side of Golden Guardians. Yes, you have Jax, who likes to get bruiser tanky, which is usually just a lot of health. But then, you know, Kindred in the jungle, Rakan in the support position. None of these guys are going to be that brick wall that you have to punch through at least.
It's not an Ornn or anything like that, but I can definitely see, you know, River grabbing something like a Hex Drinker later on. You could see Licorice going towards, you know, Wit's End or a Spirit Visage or whatever later on. So there are options to get kind of that additional efficiency. But River going to be starting bot side. He does have his initial mark there over onto Jensen, and we'll see where it goes from this clears. Poome's going in.
Wow, Poome immediately wanting to jump on Stixxay. The Ignite drop there too. Poome popping both summoner spells. He gets the cleanse back out of Stixxay 4.
What did Stixxay cleanse? I think he tried to cleanse the flip. Because he's a W start, right? There's nothing really else for him to cleanse, and he did not cleanse the Ignite because I saw that ticking on him. So I think, you know, a bit of a misplay there from Stixxay. I think he early cleansed, then had to eat that full Ignite, which is going to result in him sitting very low. So we're going to see this one more time. I think he just kind of panic cleansed as he got engaged on here. Poome flashes in, and he probably just mashed his cleanse. So yeah, cleanses that little stun there on the flip, but the problem with that is you're going to have to eat the full Ignite right after.
River's down here in bottom side, wants to try to punish Dig if they go far forward. There it is, the crash down from Poome. He's done for. They're just going to leave that one over to Stixxay as River wants to get a double here on Tomo, who flashes away underneath the turret to barely survive.
Yeah, and I mean, Golden Guardians has the highest first blood at 4 minutes and 35 seconds. I knew that River, like, I know Dig tried to ward to track him, right? So they knew where he was starting. But as soon as that play happened, obviously, River was going to go down to try to reset bot.
Yeah, they had that ward over by Raptors, right? So they could have known that maybe something was a little bit up because obviously it was a leashless start though, and they didn't see him on Raptor, so maybe they thought he was clearing top to bot. Maybe they thought he was doing some bit of an atypical path as Huhi. Could potentially be in some trouble. Does not have his flash, but they're not going to continue going for it. But yeah, it's just 2 camps to bot. He saw that bot lane was going to be really spicy, went down there. Unfortunately, didn't even get an assist on the Poome kill, but did force the flash on Tomo by going for him. So at the end of the day, yeah, you lose out on a little assist gold, but you get more of a reward here overall. And I just think it's a really smart, proactive play from River. You're a range champion with red buff early on. You can make these aggressive plays. You don't have to just be a full 6 camp clear power farmer. And as they try to go aggressive here, as soon as Poome goes forward, you know he's dead when Kindred pops out of the brush.
Emily called it, man. You don't need to farm the camps if you can just farm the champs. Easy money for River and the side of the Golden Guardians. Unfortunately for River, he doesn't even get an assist for it because, like we said, they just left Poome for dead. He wanted to try to add on and get the extra onto Tomo there, but doesn't end up happening. So that wave is about to crash into the turret here. Huhi and Stixxay will pick that one up for themselves. One thing that I do also want to mention, there's a lot of value for Gori this game in the Unraveled Earth. The way that it interacts with the dashes, stopping them and inflicting the stun, there's plenty of enemy champions that you're going to get value there from.
Yeah, absolutely. Basically everyone except Varus, you know, there is going to be a lot of value there. And that was a fat wave, but they have multiple stacks of Targon, so they actually killed all the melees and then held the range. So they had a ward on Tomo basing as well, so they knew Tomo was going back to base. And this means the entire wave, including the cannon, will be denied. So that's actually a pretty big cost. Stixxay was down in farm. This will more than equalize it. This whole wave, including that cannon, is now dead. And they have the cannon +4 range, so the next wave is going to be dead as well, unless Tomo can actually push up and push that in. But he's going to be a little bit nervous because of that pink over in Tries. You're not necessarily sure where the Kindred is. They just dematerialize the cannon now. I think Golden Guardian's playing this really well, just thinning the wave just enough to hold it right outside of their tower and make Tomo scared to walk up and fully push it in.
Feels bad if you're Dignitas there, man. Whenever you're in laning phase, you just have to watch the wave sit there for what feels like an eternity as you can't get what you want from it.
Like, he went from, I want to say, well, let me see how much it was. It was +8 CS to now he is -4 in the course of about a minute.
2-wave swing.
Yeah, like that is a really big deal, right? That is a lot of gold going the way of Stixxay, who also, by the way, got to first blood. So now, when Stixxay goes back to base, he's going to be significantly ahead of his lane opponent.
Well, Gori just roaming around here a little bit, has Huhi right next to him. They'll clear out that ward that was placed down. Getting closer and closer to level 6s here for our solo laners. Remember that whenever that happens for Taliyah, we want to see big roams coming out as Jensen taken close to dead, but not quite there just yet. Taliyah not having that same level of instant burst as some other champions in the game might. But now that the Weaver's Wall is ready, I expect to see them commit some extra attention to the bottom side of the map.
It's a little bit dicey there. Rich at 6, so he wanted to go aggressive on Licorice. Just push him back. Licorice respects it. He's just going to walk back to the tower, wait till he can collect the wave. And now the wave is bouncing back, so now you have to be scared about a potential move from Gori. Like if Gori went down towards bot, if they can do anything to slam that home, that's where Dig is getting scared, and that's why Santorin now moves bot to cover this push.
Yeah, and Santorin actually absolutely has to come down here. Look at you already called the CS lead out as to what the wave state was going to do here, but 56 to now 37. Tomo should be able to collect this wave now that it's going back in his favor, but yeah, just like if you want to see the small things that happen early game in order to, like, you look at and you're like, oh, how did this CS lead happen? How did this stuff happen? That early river gank is like a prime example of it.
Absolutely, and then the wave manipulation is what slammed it home, right? You know, thinning the wave just enough so it couldn't crash is such a big deal. And Dig wants to do the same thing to their opponents that was done to them, but they can't because River is down here. He has this coverage, and they're able to actually crash the wave.
Oh, but River getting a little bit ahead of himself here. Piercing arrow finds him, and Tomo's getting the kill. Nicely done from Dignitas. River, too confident, jumping back in there, and Santorin immediately answers.
I mean, I thought he was playing it really, really well, but then he goes one more step forward there with that dancing arrows, jumps forward, and Poome says, all right, that's illegal. You're going to die for this one. You know, flashes in on him, and they do end up bursting him down. So a little bit of disrespect from River. I think it was a great play up until that point. You know, made sure to cover them on bot side. And now goes for a freebie.
Yeah, and not just a freebie to the AD carry that we were just lamenting how far behind he was set because of the early plays. That one just unravels a lot of what they've been working towards here for the first 7.5 minutes.
Fair play to River. You know, he put his own ADC ahead. Now he's going to put the other one ahead.
The River giveth
like that.
And the River
That's that good competitive spirit, you know?
My team's Kindred versus your team's Kindred. They're the same Kindred.
Oh, no.
It happens sometimes.
Happens to the best of us.
All right, River, I'm going to keep an eye on how well he continues to do throughout the game because I do think he's got the potential to really run the show here.
I thought you were going to keep going with it.
No, I'm not going to keep going with it because he honestly is one of my favorite junglers in the league. I think a lot of time he finds a lot of really good angles, a lot of really smart plays, and especially together with Gori, who we've already talked about being on a roaming champion like Taliyah. I want to see these two pretty much have a buddy cop movie roaming around the map getting into trouble.
Yeah, and especially if Huhi can join in on that as well. But now we see Dig going for this Herald. It looks like GG are going to contest.
All right, River has the enemy jungler marked. Poome jumping in for the crash down on the Kindred. River at about half HP is Jensen. Rich and Santorin are ready to follow up. Nice catch there with the Glacial Prison, but they can't burst him in time to stop the Lamb's Respite. Rich wanted to knock him out here with the all-out, but it won't work just yet. Rich grabs the kill. Jensen's incredibly low, but he won't be killed until Stixxay jumps in with a killer instinct. Rich is about to fall, and Licorice beats him over the head with the stick. Golden Guardian's looking for a little bit more now. Seismic Shove won't find Santorin, but Huhi's still looking. He does not have a flash, so they won't find anything more, but it's Golden Guardians finishing the fight better as Poome, get on that horse and run away! Run away! Oh no, I don't think you're running anywhere, buddy.
He's going back behind the barn.
Poome, yeah, Poome's metal horse is sent to the glue factory. Oh no.
Rainbow Road there for Poome.
Wait, that's Mario, man.
You never heard that expression?
I thought it was a Rainbow Bridge, man.
Oh, okay, whatever. Close enough. We're going to count it.
All right, 2 points for Azael.
Executive decision, and we're going to count it. As this one was a bit of a wild one. River tries to... Sorry, man, you killed me, Flowers.
Yeah.
I just see Flowers laughing over there.
I was like, what do you mean he's racing in Mario?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
They're Bowser, you know?
I did want to point out how crucial the Lamb's Respite was there, right?
Yeah.
In order to be able to save them so they could come out ahead. And then Stixxay being able to come in and clean up is really, really important. He's now 2-0-1 and significantly ahead of Tomo, even with that return kill that River kind of donated.
See if Dignitas can pick up a blue shell.
Yeah.
Come back.
We're just going to go full Mario reference.
Yeah, I guess that's where
do that if you want.
I guess that's where we're going on this one. Santorin pathing up through middle here, but unfortunately, any sort of anything to be found is in another castle.
Oh, God.
I think we're only entertaining ourselves at this point.
Yeah, no, that's totally fine. We just had all the
accept
action.
that.
Teams are just waiting for there to be something else to fight over.
Yeah.
We do have a pretty nice prize here with a Hextech Drake, bottom part of the river. Sometimes that one gets prioritized more early, but not so much this game. 10.5 minutes in, still hasn't been taken. Huhi with that quickness on Rakan, I believe just now came off a cooldown. Big playmaking tool for the Golden Guardians, especially with Weaver's Wall ready. I want to see these guys start up the Drake, if nothing else, just use it as a bait to force a fight.
Yeah, I think they're going to get it pretty easily because I do think it'd be difficult for Dignitas to come down. If Dignitas try to approach, you could just wall off one side and attack the other with Gori. And they are going to be able to grab that easy peasy. You can see Licorice in the picture-in-picture is just dirty farming between the towers at this point.
Yeah, I guess something we didn't really talk about is the Jax, because usually I turn to you, right, as the top lane.
You don't have to talk about top lane. No, that's a secret.
It's just been kind of there.
You can talk about it in the post game because like maybe they did some stuff later on, but you know.
Hey, Licorice was in that fight. He's also 2-0-1.
Oh, good for him.
Well, that's how you know Isaac is the true top laner because he's like, yeah, you don't need to talk about top. Every top laner tells you the top lane doesn't matter. I feel like that's the most common sentence we get out of Fudge when we have him as a guest at the caster desk. Yeah, my lane doesn't matter.
Fudge, how are you doing today? I hate
top lane doesn't matter. I hate Renekton.
My team doesn't gank. Top lane doesn't.
All right, Jensen has to try to escape back past that unraveled earth there. Again, pointing out just the importance of this spell later on in the fights. I think Gori's usage of placement could be really impactful. Seismic shove throws Jensen back. He lives long enough to use the ulti, but he will not survive the burn. Huhi gets the kill, and Golden Guardians make the play.
Yeah, and I was wondering if Dig were going to try to set up maybe a Herald drop mid right there, right? Because I believe Santorin is still hanging on to that. But yeah, that was really, really, again, like, if we're talking about what Huhi brings to this team, it is that, right? And sometimes he dies, and so people bring in his statistics as like, well, I don't know if he's that good, but like, his engages are so key, and the way this team works around them is amazing.
And I'd also say, I feel like just mechanically, he's played way better this split than he has in a lot of splits, right? You know, usually when people talk about Huhi, they talk about all of these intangibles that he's bringing, right? You know, he's a great shot caller, he's a really good leader on the team, he's kind of an in-game coach.
Well, right now, he's about to be some gold for his opponents if he's not careful. Santorin's the one picking it up, but now they've got the Void Seeker. Stixxay jumping in on Santorin to find that as Poome has to flash over the wall. River survives there with, again, a nice use of the Lamb's Respite. Tomo's burst will not hit true, and River survives for 2 kills to go back over to the Golden Guardians. 5-head Huhi strikes again.
Yeah, nicely played there. They end up TPing in. They're able to find that counterplay. Mark finally grabbed there as well by River off that topside scuttle. And it is actually going to be AD Varus. So it's AD poke. I was not really expecting this. You know, generally when you do see full lethality, people are going comment and stuff like that. So it's a little bit of an atypical build. Obviously, Golden Guardians wanted to try to hold the Herald here. They wanted to try to deny that charge, but Huhi gets this passive stacked up on him, and then they commit the ulti. They go in, they lock him down. The stopwatch buys a lot of time, though, for Kindred to move over and for the Jax to arrive at the TP.
Yeah, and I think, just once again, here you see, even though I was not meaning to cast or curse Huhi, and I also did not
But you did. It's not about the intent, Emily. It's about the actions.
I do think this team works really well together.
Atone for your sins.
This is another good. I'm sorry, Huhi. 죄송합니다. Actually, it'd be 미안해요.
I mean, honestly, it's not really that big of a deal for Golden Guardians. I'm pretty sure they're happy about it. Plus nearly 3,000 gold and the only Drake of the game 14 minutes in here. So these guys are loving the state of the game right now against Dig. 7-3 in terms of kills. Wow. Total gold on the left side of your screen. Stixxay is a rich man.
Scrooge McDuck.
Just swimming in the gold
he's just swimming in the coins. Poome's just trying to get a scrap of gruel down there.
A scrap of gruel.
Yeah.
I think the big thing is look at where Tomo's at, right? Because he's not even at 5K yet.
Oh, yeah.
Stixxay is at 6.7, so.
It's a lot more.
The discrepancy is pretty big.
Well, Dignitas is going to need to find some way back into the game before this balloons any further. Otherwise, they're just going to be at the mercy of Golden Guardians making some kind of mistake as the Guardians coming back down bottom here. We do have a potential 3v3 square off. You can see River and Licorice still on the other side of the map. As nice catch from Dignitas. Finds Gori trying to ride the Weaver's wall, and it's a free kill going over to Dig. They might even be able to pick up the tier 1 on top.
Nicely done. They are pushing up on top side, so they get a kill down on bot side. River invades, grabs another mark, so it's his 3rd of the game. They are going to TP up towards top to answer that, but Herald gets dropped mid, so tier 1 mid will be going down, so Golden Guardians trading back on the other side of the map.
And this should give them a pretty good, even with that bot side turret going down, the mid advantage should give them a pretty good setup on Drake if they want to go for it as well, since that's almost up.
Tomo at least gets to clear out that Herald before it gets a second charge down mid lane. It's always an extra pain when that thing manages to knock off 2/3 of the HP on the mid lane tier 2, just because it can be such a massive influx of gold if they have a small tempo advantage here in the next few minutes to rotate over and take it.
I'm honestly just so concerned about how Dignitas' comp is even supposed to function in 5v5s.
Okay.
If they're not hitting a ton of poke before with Tomo, I don't really see how they win a fight where Jax is pressuring Varus. Like, you're just not going to put out any damage as this lethality Varus. I think it's going to be really difficult, but Licorice will have to respect this engage.
Uh-oh, Jensen, nice shuffle there as Rich goes all out through the soldiers, but Licorice disengages with a leap strike back underneath the turret. Huhi comes in, beautifully reinforcing his top laner, saving Licorice's life and outplaying in the favor of the Golden Guardians. Poome has to use the Magnet Storm, but he's burning. Golden Guardians are turning everything right back around. A double kill for the Rakan. 3, 1, and 4. The quills are gleaming today.
Yeah. I was hoping that
Huhi
it
to the
wasn't
theme of
just
Batman.
me. Yeah. Also, just another thing to point on the bot side, again, if we're looking at like cross map, how Golden Guardians builds these leads that we see them build. Gori, even after being chased out bot side, caught out, is able to get that turret.
Yeah, absolutely are able to get something back here. You know, it's a good play, I think, from them up on the top side. They need to be proactive. They know that they're kind of bleeding out in this game, so they move Jensen top. They have him shadowing Rich, and Licorice did a good job to try to survive this. You know, they shuffle him back. Rich uses the all-out to push him even back further. This was such a close call to Licorice just going down immediately. It looked like it was probably a Triumph heal. He got a Grass heal in there, Gleaming Quills as well, I believe, from Huhi. They had to commit so much to actually be able to finish him off. They are able to do it, but at the end of the day, it's at the cost of 2 kills, a lot of summoners, like a lot of resources, and you lost the tower on the other side. You're now losing a dragon there, and we're going to watch Poome die too.
Yeah, Poome about to fall there to Taliyah as Gori lets those rocks go. And that's another kill, another Drake too, as River secures Drake number 2 of the game across the map at the same time. Uh-oh, trash bag dragon. Golden Guardians are a little bit sad about that one. Dignitas, though, counting their blessings. Gori rides the wall in. He's looking for Jensen. Needs a little bit more damage. Seismic shove, flash for flash, as the mid laners try to outplay one another. But it's the man with more friends who comes out on top. Gori taking that one.
Huhi is just everywhere in this game.
Yeah,
He's smurfing.
Like every time you think a Golden Guardians member might lose out in a trade, Huhi's somehow there.
Yeah.
I don't know how he got there. He's just there.
Huhi's everywhere and Poome's in the spawn platform. It's a tale of 2 supports this game, as Huhi has just had an incredible performance.
He's the pocket sand of League of Legends.
Yeah, he's he's ready to go, man.
Right when you think you got him. Ha! Huhi!
There's a reason that when you guys were talking earlier about your all-pro leaders, it was just a bunch of Huhi across the support position. Like, this guy is good, man.
True.
Indubitably.
Yes.
Yeah,
For certain.
barely.
Barely. That's a good one. You don't hear that one enough.
Yeah.
I used to be a
Stop
writer.
using these fancy words. You're making us
yeah,
look
that's
bad.
right. Yeah, Emily was a writer and a journalist and all this other stuff. I shoveled dirt, so I didn't have to
That's actually what I went to school for, yeah.
Nice.
How's that working out?
I mean, I have a great life. I can't complain.
Perfect. There you go.
So,
Hell
My
yeah.
parents just ask me what I'm doing.
10 out
They're
of
very
10.
confused.
Like, that's nice, dear.
Yeah, exactly. They're just like, so you're making money, right?
They pay you. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I explain it to my family as John Madden, but with video games.
There you go.
Wait, that's actually a great explanation.
You see, the team that throws the ball down the field often scores the most points.
Yeah, now what you gotta understand here, Azael, is the Golden Guardians have 2 dragons and Dignitas have none. And that means Golden Guardians have more dragons than Dignitas currently can work with.
Team that kills the Nexus often wins the game, Flowers, so I think that's what they should get in here today.
When are we going to bring back the they were winning until they were losing, they were winning, or whatever the Scara quote is?
They were winning until they lost the game.
Yeah.
The Scar
Still applies all these years later.
I love Scara. He also used to be a journalist for a very short time.
Some of the greatest insight into League of Legends right there. And hey, you're talking about Soul Fighter Fight Night runner-up extraordinaire, William Scar,
American
right
Gladiator.
now. Yeah. A single round of Soul Fighter away from winning the whole competition.
It did not start off hot,
No, but that's exactly
but it ended. They were scaling.
Yeah, up until they lost the game, they were winning though, because they were in first place leading up to it. I'm sorry, Scara. But we've got Dignitas trying to fight back into this game. It's starting to slip away to the point, though, where I'm really worried about how it's going to happen. Isaac, you already brought up, how do you even win a 5v5 fight if Jax is able to pressure the Varus, especially when you're already down 4,500 gold?
I mean, I think it's really, really difficult. You have a two-threat team here with a poke lethality Varus. It just doesn't feel like it's going to be consistent. I think the way that they have to do it is to be first to the objective and poke their opponents as they're coming in. And if you can't do that, I think it's going to be incredibly hard to show up late to a fight, show up late to an objective, and try to walk in there and take a 100-0 fight as lethality Varus. Just doesn't usually work out. We'll see if they're going to be able to problem solve. You know, maybe Rich can isolate someone off and get like a solo kill, you know, on a side of a fight or something like that. But without those kind of X-Factor plays, I think it's going to be really, really hard.
And then by contrast, we see GG are trying to set up for some sort of Baron take. Obviously, they're setting their side lanes. They went in and cleared vision. I think with Golden Guardians, what I am looking for from them, because sometimes they're so good, and then other games they just get too hyphy, and their setups are
Sometimes they're so good, and other times they're not so good.
Yeah, but I thus far, the setup, again, they push out their side waves. They're getting down vision.
Yeah.
We'll see. I've talked to them about their mid game a lot, and they're like, we're working on it.
Okay, hey, that's progress. Forward momentum. I like that. One thing worth pointing out here, current state of the game, there are item completion advantages favoring Golden Guardians. You can see 2 completed items up there in the top lane and in mid lane, while the same can't be said for the solo laners of Dignitas. Golden Guardians trying to use these advantages and this pressure to take over the enemy jungle, get rid of some of the vision, make this map small and scary for Dignitas.
And I like how confidently they're actually playing, as Licorice and Rich might end up in a 1v1 here.
Yes, they are. Licorice seeming to be doing better here at the start, and Tofo strikes number 3, knocks Licorice back. Rich trying to kite this one out. He's so very low. Time to go all out and see if he can fight it. But no, Licorice, not only does he win it on his own, he had backup just in case it got dicey. Another kill over to the Golden Guardians. 4-1-4 here on the Jax.
Yeah, without that Ksante in, or
Gori riding the Weaver's Wall in, but Huhi's immediately ready for the backup. He's always there every time. Lamb's respite from River to keep his mid laner alive as Santorin tried to get one back. Jensen and Santorin just do not have the firepower to get it done as River continues chasing down the enemy jungler. Huhi again forcing out another summoner spell, and the Golden Guardians with 3 dead on the enemy team now head over to the Baron.
Dignitas are lacking in threats, but Golden Guardians are not. They have so many tools here. They get into the backline, and now Licorice trying to push Santorin out. They look like they want to just rush down this Baron.
Yeah, Licorice's job is interference. He's trying to keep everybody else away. Santorin has no way into the pit, so the Baron goes over to Golden Guardians.
They did it.
They did it.
They did it. And I mean, eliminating that side lane threat, obviously, Rich cannot go up against Licorice in this game right now, but just still taking out that possibility. Dig are going to come in and get this Drake as kind of a consolation prize, but nice setup coming out of Golden Guardians.
Yeah, at the very least, they'll buy themselves a little bit of time to hold off, you know, from Soul coming through, but Golden Guardians, I think, have all the tools they need to probably close out this game. They're nearly 7,000 gold ahead. They're already pushing up on top side. You have a Baron empowered Jax here who cannot really be answered in the side lanes, as you said. And dealing with split push when you don't have a lot of different threats on the squad is so tough, right? Yeah. Azir's the only one who can really go to answer him, but Azir's also your only wave clear. A lethality Varus is not going to be able to clear out these empowered minions. So if Golden Guardians actually time the waves here to crash at the same time, there's not really a lot of an answer besides just trying to hard engage as Dignitas, and I don't think you can really hard engage and win a fight from this spot, so it's going to be very, very tough for them.
Draft diff, should have drafted 2 Azirs. Then you could have had a split pusher and a mid-lane wave clearer, but unfortunately there's only 1 Jensen for Dignitas, and they're having a hard time figuring out where to allocate these guys to survive the Golden Guardians pressure. Look at the ward state on the map right now. You can see these 2 random wards from Dignitas on the backside of the Drake pit, but everything else is Golden Guardians, Golden Guardians, Golden Guardians, and more Golden Guardians as they've taken over the map. You can see Dignitas using the 5-man buddy system, holding hands in a line to step out of the base and make sure somebody doesn't get picked off by a Weaver's Wall.
I mean, it's dangerous out there, man. You got to be careful at this point. Huhi, as you said, has been everywhere. Has been finding these engages. Licorice can take you down in the 1v1. Nice little buffer there from Rich to actually immune the grand entrance, so we'll be able to keep safe there. But Gori moving down, he can just throw the Weaver's Wall behind the tower and guarantee this one, but they're going to look for an engage. Yeah, Huhi goes in with a quickness. They follow it up with Licorice, and they kill the enemy tank before he can do anything about it. The Weaver's Wall stops any sort of reinforcement from the remainder of the team. Golden Guardians with a 5-man push in the bottom lane. They still got 60 more seconds of the Baron buff, and they look primed to use it.
And I'm glad you called out the Weaver's Wall just as an isolation tool, Azael, because if you don't see Taliyah for a while, you do kind of forget how easy she can make either making these picks off even under turret or just sieging turrets at all.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it works very similarly to how we see Maokai ult used in a lot of these situations, where you can just commit the ulti, push them back. It's very difficult for your opponents to actually fight through, because if they try to step up and defend the tower, they're going to get pincered against that wall. So you really have no choice but to just back it up, give up that ground, and that makes it really, really difficult when Golden Guardians is already this far ahead, because you're just ceding so much ground and you really don't have a lot to give.
We're at the point of the game now where Dignitas are just praying for a mistake. They're praying for a Kindred ulti that accidentally saves all of them in a team fight instead of the Golden Guardians, or for Licorice or Stixxay or Gori to be caught isolated, or for maybe Huhi to not just be there one of the times they try to make a play, because he's always responding. He's just been the X factor this game so much. Kindred stack chart 5.
He's at 5.
Okay, that's good enough as long as it's 4 or more.
This is, again, I just want to point this out about River's Kindred. He is just all about the team, and I'm glad we got to see that, because it is, like, again, a very different, maybe some people would say suboptimal way to play this champion, but I just love seeing how River's, it's like the way he plays the game shines through regardless of what champ he's on.
Well, I think it really made sense the way he was playing in a situation like this, right? Where you are this far ahead, you can just play in your enemy jungle, harass them as they're trying to farm camps, you take that income away from them, and it makes it really difficult for them to find any way to come back, because it felt so early on in this game that River is pushing in and they're taking 3 quadrants of the map. And when you lose your half of the map, you just can't really stall out the game whatsoever.
And it speaks to, again, also just how well Golden Guardians are able to communicate this between each other, right? We've talked about how Huhi is everywhere. Gori himself is having quietly a very good game outside of that one pickoff in bot lane, right? So I think I can't understate how well this team seems to work together.
Yeah, and you can look at the levels of the champions. Only Jensen is on equal ground with his lane opponent in terms of level. Both mid laners at level 15. Licorice is +2. River is +3 in the current state of the game. +1 for Stixxay. Even in the support role, Huhi's up a level, and it's just because of all of the extra objectives, camps, waves, everything they've had control over for the entire game.
And I just think Golden Guardians is such a cool story, right? This is a team that had never even gotten past 9 wins before. They're already at 11. They're likely going to grab 12 here. This team really has improved by leaps and bounds, you know, not from just last year, but actually literally from last split, right? It wasn't until the end of spring and going into playoffs that they really hit their stride. They went towards Licorice on carries. They started giving them counter pick. They really found a style that works for them. They improved, I think, a lot throughout playoffs and in MSI, and have continued that improvement right into summer and are fighting for a position at the top of the table.
Yeah.
It's all that one video, man. As soon as they made that FU video, they just became an entirely different monster.
They were imbued with the power of FU.
Yeah, it's attitude dip. As soon as you're at that point.
I will say this team is such good vibes. Also, it didn't work right away.
They did kind of run it down for a while after.
Don't worry about reality and details, Isaac.
Never let the facts get in the way of a good story. That's what I always say. Just make up stats on the spot. Most people aren't going to check. You can say whatever you want.
Remember what Licorice solo killed did?
Yeah, that was crazy.
That was one of the highlights of the tournament for me.
Remember when Golden Guardians were doing bad in the split and Emily subbed in and then they won in playoffs? That was crazy.
Incredible.
Wow. One of my favorite moments.
I didn't know I had the hands.
Yeah,
you know?
I didn't either. Neither did they.
Well, Dignitas don't know what's going on right now. They are just trying to hold on, man. Everything is a struggle at this point. Baron is up again. I would expect Golden Guardians to set up around this, look to make this play, and then just go for the end after that. They're so far ahead, it would take a miracle for Dignitas to come back now. So you can see Golden Guardians trying to set up some of that vision, move around towards the pit. Scryer's Bloom fired off. It is the Chem Plant Rift, which can make it a little bit harder because of the range of the blast cones and the extra power of the Scryer's plants. But Rich is now down to 1/4 HP. Yes, he has Unleashed Teleport to come back, but if nothing else, Golden Guardians can probably force that teleport by starting off the Baron.
It's going to be really, really hard for them to be able to do much from this point. You know, again, we've talked about it a lot, you know, the struggles I think that they are going to have with their comp, and when you're this far down and you are second to an objective, you're just left with so few options. You're kind of praying that somehow Golden Guardians all stack up, you find that miracle engage, and you delete someone to start the fight. That's the only way that they could even have any sort of an entrance, I think, into a winning 5v5.
Yeah, and you talked about kind of poke coming out of Dig and how they would want a fight to go optimally, but also the poke coming out of, as we just saw, Gori with the Taliyah, and then also Stixxay on this Kaisa with her build is, you know,
Wow, that
it
died
didn't
fast.
even matter.
Yeah.
I was gonna say they can play with Fog if they want and just poke out, but
Oh, Dig went after Licorice, but he has the Zhonya's fully completed, so he just immediately wasted their time. Now Gori's ready to ride the Weaver's wall. Huhi jumps in for the lockdown on Rich. Magnet Storm on multiple targets, though. Dignitas may have found an angle, but it's not enough. If you're this far behind, even a good engage won't give you what you need. Golden Guardians keeps everybody alive and keeps the push going.
Nicely done. They are able to find another pick here. They get Poome. They narrowly avoid losing Santorin and Rich, but they're going to go back to base, heal back up. Stixxay likely will have to go back to base as well, so it will be the one inhibitor take. Has to be careful that he doesn't give up a freebie.
Right.
The Golden Guardians have just continually extended the gold lead here. Yes, you know, it's not a super fast close, but this gold has just been going up and to the right the whole time. It's a 12,000 gold lead now, and they can play for soul if they need to.
You can see the inventory of Licorice looking like Spear of Shojin coming up next. This is the point of the game where Jax is in Counter-Strike more than he's not in Counter-Strike. So it becomes almost impossible to feel like you can do anything against this guy. Honestly, Golden Guardians set up for just an easy walk-it-in moment, I feel like. You've got either one of the side lanes you can try to pressure now. Still Baron available for another minute and 45 seconds, so I expect him, honestly, to just try to go for the win off the back of this.
Yeah, we'll see if there's any sort of an angle for Dig, but Gori is here to cover Licorice, so even if they look for a play, Gori is here to answer with that ulti. Could come in with Weaver's Wall, but I think Golden Guardians just walk in, clear out the vision, escort this wave up to that tier 2, and are going to be able to take that no problem. Supers are already coming through mid. You can see Tomo trying to clear that out, but like, look at how much the Varus struggles to actually kill that wave. It takes so long that there's just not really a lot of recourse. Like I said, your only real wave clear is the Azir, so it's just almost impossible to play out this comp from behind.
and there's
Oh my goodness, did you see that Void Seeker?
yeah, they're still oof.
Man!
They're also just getting zoned out by not only these Void Seekers coming out to soften up, as we were talking about poke, but also, again, the Unraveled Earth from Taliyah. Just, you don't want to step in that because now you're just dead.
Yeah.
Right. Arctic Assault from Sejuani, footwork from Ksante, anything from Azir trying to get in there. Poome's crash down. None of it works. You just get stopped on the rocks, and it's so difficult for Dignitas to ever get a chance. Now Golden Guardians, they're going to put the pressure on the tier 3 turret here in the top lane. Santorin goes for an engage. He finds River, but there's no follow-up there for the rest of Dignitas. Weaver's Wall looking to put itself between everybody as Poome is exploded here in the front line. Jensen tries to disengage, but Licorice with a good use of the Zhonya's here yet again. Rich has to run away here with the all-out. They may have lost Huhi, but Golden Guardians just won the game. Jensen, Rich, and Tomo all trying to survive, but the Void Seekers are doing almost half your health. Stixxay's on that line. The killer instinct kills indeed. A double back over to the AD carry as Rich has to pop Starblade, but it don't even matter. Golden Guardians go to 12 wins.
Stixxay was feeling himself at the end there.
Yeah.
That was great. Also, did you note the gold bounty on Huhi? That was a shutdown.
How much was it?
I didn't check, but I just
Isaac, you have the thing.
shutdown.
Well, the replay actually goes boom once he gets